the Start Your Own Business podcast. Hear inspiring startup stories and get reliable expert advice on how to start your business and get off to the best possible start. Brought to you by Startup Donut, helping small businesses succeed.
Hi there, you're listening to the Start Your Own Business podcast. My name's Fiona Pryor and I'm your host. Thanks for joining us. For most startup businesses, the founder's treading in the footsteps of someone who's been there before. They might be opening a cafe, a dog grooming business, or a new trade business such as a decorating, plumbing or gardening business. And that makes total sense. They're tried and tested business ideas that can be very successful. More unusually, a business founder comes up with a completely new product or service, something that's a real innovation. In this episode, I'll be talking to Bristol-based Dawn White, founder of Ecoegg. Ecoegg is a groundbreaking multi-use laundry product that contains no nasty chemicals. The Ecoegg was created to be kinder to your skin and to the environment. So how and why did Dawn create her laundry egg and detergent pellets? What steps did she take to start her business, and what advice can she offer to others? Before we meet Dawn and learn more about her startup journey, let's find out how the donut websites can help you in your business.
Want to be more successful when starting or running your own business? You need the donuts. No, not the little deep-fried dough balls filled with jam. I mean the 5 donut small business advice websites: startup, marketing, money, law and tech. Together they attract more than 1 million visitors each year, people just like you. Each donut website is packed with top tips and reliable information, which we hope will help you to be more successful when starting and running your own business. You can also access money-saving offers and time-saving tools while learning and gaining inspiration from other small business owners. Head over to www.startupdonut.co.uk and you can download a special startup guide that provides a checklist of key tasks you need to complete when starting your own business. And whether you're starting up or your business is more established, visit www.startupdonut.co.uk to sign up to receive our free monthly donut e-newsletter, which contains a wealth of small business news and know-how. You can also find out more about our Donut Small Business Collective Facebook group. Join it and you can seek advice from thousands of other small business owners or help them by sharing your own knowledge. Visit www.startupdonut.co.uk today. It could be one of the best business decisions you ever make.
It's time to meet our expert, Dawn White. Hi there, Dawn. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Before we talk about how and why you started Ecoegg, I wonder if you could tell our listeners a little bit about your background and what you were doing before that.
Yeah, it had absolutely nothing to do with laundry detergent. I worked as an art director in on TV and films, so mostly for BBC as well. So more of it was a creative background, which I guess transfers across when you set up a business. But yeah, nothing to do with laundry detergent.
So for anyone who's not familiar, Dawn, with the Ecoegg, can you explain what the product is and how you would use it?
Yes, absolutely. It's a very simple product to use, first of all. It is simply a egg case that twists and opens the little button lock, and you fill it with laundry detergent pellets that are slow release. They last for up to 60 washes, depending on your wash cycle. And there's a little line inside you can easily see when you need to refill, and then you just simply refill the case with another set of refill pellets. You can buy them as in refill packs and pop it back in the drum of your machine, and that's it. So much simpler than liquids with spills and kind of thing. It's a really, really simple, easy to use as well.
So the pellet approach is quite a departure from anything else that's on the market. So how did you wind up with taking that route?
Well, it stems to the fact that you can't just add the sodium bicarbonate to a machine. So when I was speaking with the National Eczema Society, it was looking at how that could be used through a machine. So either a compacted form or a slow release form. And that's kind of how it all came about, really, how it could actually be physically used in a domestic machine.
Okay, so you had the pellets. I suppose the next step then was coming up with the container for the pellets.
Yeah.
What led to the creation then of the laundry egg? How did that come about?
Well, we needed something to this product be placed inside. Obviously, you have like a liquid will go inside a cap in your machine or in your drawer, but this needed a container because it couldn't just be placed into the machine for the nature of them being smaller. and just a natural shape was the egg shape. It just seemed to fit really well. It could have been a ball, but egg just seemed a nicer, quirkier, just sort of more natural form, really. Just need to fit.
A unique shape,
Yeah.
so a bit more of a USP to other things.
Absolutely, yeah.
So did you go through many prototypes before you reached the final design?
Oh yes, absolutely. Lots of prototypes. Getting the ventilation, the slots correct in the egg, how it locked was a real key issue we had. So we went through many different designs for that locking mechanism. We had twists, we had different kind of push locks, all sorts of things that obviously it has to get through a high pressure spin cycle, so you've got to make sure it keeps together. So yeah, that was
So did you have help with that prototyping process?
Yeah, we used various different agencies. We could use like 3D printing to try out the original prototypes. So yeah, a lot went through. That was quite a lengthy process back then.
Well, I can imagine because it's something new to the market and innovative, you do need to bring in people to do the proper sort of product testing because it's something new. You don't know what will work and what won't work.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of machines to test it out in as well. We had to be thorough. So yeah.
Yeah. Lots of washing lines full of clothes.
Yeah.
So your background, as you mentioned earlier, is in design. So do you think that helped you at all while you were going through the design process?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I enjoyed the whole, process. There's a lot of challenges, but I enjoyed that challenge, and I enjoyed helping to design the egg shape. I originally did all the like packaging design, web graphic design myself because I had a design background with my degree. So yeah, so it was very helpful.
I was going to ask you about that. So I've sort of seen the sort of packaging designs that you've had over the years. So you came up with the first design yourself?
Yes, don't look at those now. They're terrible. Much better now using a proper designer. But yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, it was all me and the help of friends. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to ask you what sort of led to the redesign then, because you had a redesign of the packaging in 2014. That's because you weren't happy with it, presumably?
Yes, absolutely. And it's keeping up with market trends as well. Something that you've had designed, say, back in 2008 is not going to be current to now. You've got to keep up. Any brands change over the years. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you do see that, don't you, over time when you look at sort of some of the sort of products that have been around for donkey's years, how things like the logos have changed, the shapes of bottles,
colours.
Coca-Cola being a classic example.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the redesign, did you do the redesign yourself or did you bring someone in for that?
Absolutely, brought designers in now. Yeah, absolutely.
So sort of that advice, if we, giving advice to small businesses, would you say that paying to bring an expert in at that point is a good investment?
Yeah. I mean, at first, obviously, I was self-funding the business, so it's what you can do yourself when you're starting out, what you can afford to do. But as a business grows and you bring more funds in, I would highly recommend bringing experts where you can to help out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And was that expensive?
It can be. It depends who you go to, really. You can either go to a big London design house and it will cost a small fortune, but, you probably will get a fantastic result. Or there's freelance designers that you can use, that can be equally as creative and, good if they've got product design experience. So, yeah.
Yes, I suppose it's not just about the product design, is it? Like you were saying, the packaging as well is an important part of selling your product. Does it stand out on the shelf? Does it fit with your kind of brand message? Because for you, the sustainability is a big part of your brand identity and the reason you set up the business. So does your packaging, is it in keeping with the message that you want to give to your consumers?
Yeah, it's key, the packaging and the message you get across. We have quite a few USPs, actually. We've got the sustainability, we've got the money saving, we've got the suitable sensitive skin. But, you can't put too much on pack, it gets too busy. So it's actually quite a skill to get those messages on, but also keep it nice and clean and clear and, easily readable. So, yeah, that takes quite a lot of skill for a designer.
So that's why actually it's good to work, I suppose, with a designer then, because they can help you refine what messaging it is that you want to include on the packaging, but also in terms of you have to think, I think, about the broader picture, don't you? It's not just about how it stands out on the shelf. It's things like shipping. Is the product protected when it's being transported between the, your warehouse and the shop, and then the shop and home? Is the packaging recyclable? All of those kinds of considerations.
All those to consider, yeah, absolutely. And you don't want lots of wasted space in the packaging, one for sustainable reasons, other for shipping. You want to make sure it all fits, but you've got to be able to still fit the messaging on. So it's a balance between that, of how small and large the packaging is.
Well, exactly. Just sort of winding back to while you started business while you were working at the BBC. So do you still consider Ecoegg as your side hustle?
No, absolutely not. I mean, once you've set up and established a business, that's it. You've got to give your all to it. So it's 100%. And I had to leave my career that I built up. So yeah, but this is now my career. So
it was a worthwhile venture then.
absolutely.
You're now here,
Yeah.
10 years down the line, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I suppose from the very beginning, you were taking on established, big known corporations, the big laundry companies who produce everything from laundry liquid to toothpaste and face cream. And you were coming in as an innovator. So you must have been confident of success, and, you were confident that you could take on those established brands when you launched Ecoegg.
Yes, I mean, really, you don't really stop and consider it. It just was just selling. We were getting great feedback, particularly on we started out on the home shopping channels, because there you have this platform to be able to explain the product, especially if it's something new and different, a new concept on the market. They're a great place to start.
Yeah.
And so we just sort of kept going. It was just a momentum of selling, great reviews, getting new listings. So I guess the thought of challenging the bigger players, I mean, the laundry sector particularly, it's dominated by big players. So really, you just want a tiny, tiny piece of that, is fantastic. So I don't think you could ever really challenge the likes of P&G, Unilever, but you just want a tiny piece of it, really. And that's great.
Yeah. So starting on the shopping channels, that in itself is quite a novel approach for a small business to take. What sort of led to that? How did you get under the nose of the buyers of the shopping channels?
I think some of it came from my background. So having worked in media, having some contacts within them, but also just initially when I first started, I say selling, but sort of trialing out how the product sold was around the county shows. They were very initial. So it was a similar setup. So I created the stand for us, did all the graphics for the stand, and we would sell it at the local shows, and we just got fantastic feedback. And obviously I was sort of stood there demonstrating the product as a demonstrator would on these home shopping channels. And it just fitted. It just smoothly transgressed across. And
it's kind of a bigger version of what you were doing yourself.
Yeah, bigger, more glamorous. Yeah, not me in a field on a stand. Yeah.
I love that. That's brilliant. But I suppose the message be that that's an approach that a small business could take, that you can get on TV, you can get on radio. Absolutely. Just because you're a small business, it doesn't mean that that's not a route to market for you.
Yeah, definitely a route to market. They're often more willing to try out new products, something new, something different, something that, sells well on TV, something, quirky you can explain and demonstrate. So it's a great avenue for new startups. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, did that sort of help inform your market research,
Massively.
Being out in front of your, face to face at the county fairs that you mentioned, but also on TV to get the feedback on what worked and what didn't work?
Both, absolutely. You get to know what variants work, what fragrances people like, if it's that kind of product. It's great feedback. But the actual county shows were just fantastic because, they ran for sort of 5 days, and then you'd have people coming back, letting you know what they thought of it. And it was invaluable. That was really good.
Yeah. And I suppose if you're getting that direct feedback, it makes it easier for you to sort of handle people's sort of resistance or people's questions or people's resistance to change, because as we said already, it's something completely new and innovative that was coming to the market. So you can tackle presumably those kind of more resistant customers, and allay their fears that yes, it will work for you.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, people that suffer from sensitive skin were the ones that would try it. They were the sort of easiest sells. Then you had the people that are sustainable, understanding all the sustainable benefits of it. But it's sort of like people that just don't really fit into either of those categories. You can say that's the more difficult sell, because people are quite habitual with how they wash their clothes. It's been passed down by generations, how their parents, carers, wash their clothes. So it's sort of getting the message across that you can do things differently. That's definitely more the challenge.
And what were sort of customer recommendations important in the early phases for you in terms of reaching new customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, testimonials were fantastically beneficial for us. Putting those out on social media or sending off actual testimonials to buyers. All really helpful when you're starting out. Yeah.
And was that something that you were actively encouraging your customers to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd send out samples, get focus groups in, people with children, babies with sensitive skin, or all ranges, not just sensitive skin for for sustainability, just the general washing. Yeah, we do sort of arrange focus groups. I used to lead those, and it was really useful.
And presumably that's a lower cost way of actually marketing as well, if you're getting your customers to do the selling for you.
Absolutely. You just, minimal cost when you do it yourself in-house. You don't have to go to the agency. We would just give them some nice M&S vouchers, nice pack of products. That's the cost of getting this fantastic feedback. And
really achievable as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not something that's beyond the reach of a small business to actually try these things, get your customers in, who's your target market, and speak directly to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's key. Yeah.
So how did you come up with the money to start your business? Because presumably if you were still in work, were you using your own, earnings to fund that, or did you borrow money from family and friends, business loans? How did you go about funding the business?
Yeah, so initially it was my own money, my savings that went into the business. Absolutely. So I was working myself and working then in the evenings and weekends on the business. I had someone else working with me, and I would pay them. They weren't in full-time work, so I paid them to work on Ecoegg. Paid for all the ingredients, sampling, everything myself. So yeah, it's a challenge in the beginning, it really is. But I just knew, like, in your heart, it's funny, you just get this gut feeling that this is worth it, and just keep going and going.
Yeah. Because that's quite a risky strategy, isn't it, when it's something so completely novel to the market, to invest your own time and money in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when friends and family are saying, "What are you doing? You're mad." You could be putting this down on a deposit for a house, and I'm just like, no, I just feel, I don't know, I could feel there was something in it. I could, I was getting really great feedback, great testimonials through. I was like, no, there's something here, and it's actually helping people initially for me as well. That's what I really loved about this product.
Yeah. Have you got any advice for someone starting out, how they can limit their costs? Are there any areas where you would say, actually, don't waste money there, invest your money here, tips that can help people?
Yeah, absolutely. Putting whatever favours you can from friends and family to help you out. Absolutely. See what resources there are there. And, friends will ask friends of friends if they know, I had a fantastic help with marketing through people I knew. You don't have to go to the big design houses to actually get noticed on shelf. You can use freelancers that are, can be just as fantastically experienced to help you, because that's a big expense to help you get where you need. There's ways of doing things online by yourself, even like 3D printing if you need for prototyping. You can do it cheaper. Again, I don't want to put these design houses out of business by saying this, but there, if you're really struggling for cash, there are ways that you can be a bit more savvy and try and do things in-house yourself.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the message is really that there's a lot you can do yourself.
Absolutely.
Or using, the skills and talents of friends and family, or people that you've perhaps come across in your course of other jobs where you can pull in favours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anywhere where you think, oh, I really wish I hadn't done that was a waste of time and a waste of money in the early stages?
Oh gosh, there's probably lots if I think back. You learn as you go along. Oh gosh, I probably maybe had things tested too soon, because I wanted to have it properly ethically tested through the test houses. And that's a big expense. And I wasn't quite ready. Like, sometimes you try and run before, and you should never do that. It's like walk before you run, kind of saying, and I'd be rushing it through, trying to fulfill something, and you trip over yourself, and it's costly then. So it's really make sure you've got everything ready at that point before you take it to a big test house or a big design house to do those final touches. Make sure you're happy, because otherwise those changes can be really costly.
Yeah. So baby steps, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though you want to run.
Yeah. We've talked about your branding already quite a bit. It's really strong, and that's obviously a strength that you bring to the business from your background. How important is it, do you think, for a small business to establish a brand early on?
It's really important, because you build up everything on that brand. You build up all your marketing, your website, your social media presence grows. If anything needs to change, it's actually quite difficult to then change that around, build that up again. It's the recognisable name that people will see at a show or somewhere. So they'll sort of recognise the colour and the brand name. If you change that again, people aren't going to recognise you from when they saw you previously. And it's that kind of repetition of people seeing you in different places when it will finally click. Oh, I might try that. I've seen that a few times.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure it's consistent.
Yeah. So you've talked about sort of trade shows. How else did you get your initial customers? What other routes were you taking?
So it was just direct to the buyers of the, malts and different stores. It was Holland Barrett, Lakeland were some of the earliest. Just literally trying to find out who the buyer is, just being a bit cheeky online, calling up.
So it's finding out who the buyers are
in your category. Yeah.
A little bit of badgering, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sending them in samples. You might send the wrong person, sending a few different names that you find, a lovely box of samples, present it all lovely, all lovely package. If it's sustainable, again, make sure that goes throughout all the packaging as well that you send.
And I imagine that was quite hard work when you're doing it sort of on your own, just you and friends and family. How did it feel when you started to secure a stream of orders?
Scary. So home shopping in a way was kind of easier because that was something that you just was kind of set up. We could send in. They're actually quite easy to work with on the whole. It was when we had our first retail listing. One of our first was actually Superdrug, so we don't sell Superdrug anymore. And I had my brother and his friend driving around in hire rented vans, delivering all these FSD units all over the country. It was absolutely crazy just trying to fulfill because we didn't have a big fulfillment system in place. So yeah, it really was getting friends and family to help.
All hands to the deck.
Absolutely, yeah. But good fun, really good fun though.
Yeah. It's exciting times as well because, when you've come up with something completely by yourself and your ideas being validated and you're making those sales, it must be really kind of a good sense of satisfaction that it's working.
Absolutely. And you see it in store, it's really, fantastic. Like, wow, that's what I developed and now look at it being sold, yeah.
It's your baby out there in the world. So we've talked about sustainability a little bit. It's really at the heart of your business, and particularly I think as consumers become more kind of aware of the issues, it's increasingly important to buyers that what they're buying has got a kind of credible background, that it's recyclable or ethically or not tested on animals, those kinds of issues. How do you think that's helped you set your business apart, and has that been a valuable part of your brand message?
So it's always been there from day one. It was really important to us, and even back when the environmentally friendly alternative to laundry detergent were not prominent in the marketplace, actually, we kept with it and stuck by it and fought through that. And because of that, we've definitely built up a good reputation with certain buyers and retailers, so they stuck with us, which is really key when there are so many brands coming in now. We've managed to keep that shelf space because we have built up that relationship with them, and they know that we are sustainable, true to our core. That's who we are and who we've always been. And you have to be thorough now. We always have been and would want to be anyway. And it's good that you are challenged on it now, and you're challenged by your buyers. You're challenged by all the laws and regs that are coming out and continue to increase, which is great. That's how it should be. So yeah, you have to make sure every aspect of it is sustainable.
So I suppose that's another point, that there are lots of eco standards now, aren't there, that products can be tested to. Would you recommend someone who's entering the market and that's part of their sort of core ethics to make sure that they get those certifications in place and it's worth paying for that testing and certification?
I would say if that's the nature of your product, what's at the core product, then absolutely that's something that is worth spending money on to make sure that you can
and include that in all your messaging. So your social posts, your packaging, on the product labeling, those kinds of things, make it clear that, because if that's what your consumers are looking for, make it clear that you tick the boxes for them.
Absolutely, yeah. People will look out for that. People know what they're looking for if they're buying sustainably, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the SpongeBob Operation Sea Change campaign. I wondered if you could tell our listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the actual SpongeBob Sea Change campaign itself is to tackle ocean plastic pollution. So it's actually a multi-year global initiative where they're funding global cleanups and collaborating with other brands who are actively trying to reduce plastic pollution, which is where we come to, obviously, because from day one, that's what we have been looking to do, not necessarily just for ocean plastic, but all plastic pollution, really. We're still in a sector where the laundry detergent is dominated by plastic bottles, which is, to me, just ridiculous. It doesn't need to be.
Yes.
You don't need to be buying liquid in plastic to wash your clothes. So I think I'm hoping that is going to be shifting soon. You can see new products coming in, which is great to see.
Yeah.
So that's how we tied in really well with it. Paramount actually contacted us. They found our product, had a a good chat with them, met with them. They loved the product. We showed them that we are ethical through to our core, and that's how we ended up being in a collaboration with them. So it's not just about the product as well. We are looking to support and arrange things like riverside and beach cleanups, all leading up to the World Ocean Day on the 8th of June. So to be doing the campaign as well to help within theirs. But it's just fantastic, and they're really spreading this globally as well, using their amazing platform that they have and all their fan base to spread a really positive message about ocean plastic pollution. So it's great to be involved with them.
And a real validation of what you've been doing as a business if they've approached you rather than the other way round.
Yeah.
You know, a business can only dream really of partnering with such a household name.
Oh, it's fantastic. Absolutely. And they've only approached a few brands, so we felt really honoured. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
That's exciting times.
Really exciting.
Exciting
Very
times.
exciting.
I wondered if, to sort of wrap up, you could share your 3 top tips for someone who is thinking of starting their own business, and particularly one that's likely to be an innovative business, something that's not a me too.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, some of them are probably going to sound cliche. I mean, I hope you haven't heard me before, but for me, from day one, it is just being so totally overly organised and writing lists for your lists and good communication with everyone around you, and have that as the ethos of your business to grow, because as you grow, that needs to be there. That communication with outsourcing, with department within your own business, is just really key. If you're not a good communicator and talker, you need to teach yourself to be, because you just got to be. It's just a business where you have to learn to. I've just totally, and as I'm talking about communication, I've totally dwindled off. But I'm brilliant.
So tip 1 really is ask yourself whether you've got the organisational skills to run your business and to be organised in all of the sort of processes that you've got to go through and boxes that you need to tick when you're starting up.
And a confident communicator, absolutely, everyone, and have a bit of, push yourself, have a bit of nerve to be confident in your product and confident in yourself, to speak to people, to push through to buyers, to get noticed, get recognised. You need to sort of build that confidence up, definitely.
Yeah. So that's tip 1. What about tip 2? Where would you go next?
Oh gosh. It's just again, might seem quite obvious, but you've really got to keep an eye on your competitors. I know your market, keep up with trends, make sure that you are leading in some way, that you have some USP, that you have something different. Otherwise it's going to be even more of a challenge. Yeah. But just, keeping up to date, finding something new, a new angle, if you can, whether that's in your product, whether that's in how you market it as well, can be equally as important. So, really keeping up on trends, competitors, definitely.
Yeah. And is there a final tip?
There is. And the final tip is that you will work like you've never worked before setting up a business. I don't believe anyone would say that they haven't. You've got to remember to allow yourself have a break as well, because that's one thing where, I've nearly had it myself. I've seen friends around me with their own businesses that have had burnouts, really quite severe burnouts, and you've got to give yourself that time. And it's so difficult, particularly when it's your own business at the beginning, to do that. But I recommend some really good recuperation as well. Absolutely needed.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Brilliant. So can you tell our listeners where they can find you online, Dawn?
Yes, so you can find us online on our website at ecoegg.com. You can find us on Instagram, on our Ecoegg Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. We're growing our presence there now. And then obviously we're on some online stores as well. There's called Superstore, Cardo. There's kind of online stores as well that you can find Ecoegg through.
So a quick search for Ecoegg and they'll find you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Ecoegg Laundry will be there.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Well, I hope you found my chat with Dawn inspirational. She's a great example of how it's entirely possible to come up with groundbreaking new products with little more than a problem you want to solve. She was able to create Ecoegg, which was a completely new product, without a huge injection of money, by using her own skills, tenacity, and the support of family and friends. And while you might not be coming up with a complete new product or innovation yourself, she shared lots of advice and lessons here that apply equally to most startup businesses. If you'd like to listen to any of our previous startup stories, you can find them all at www.startyourownbusinesspodcast.co.uk. We've also listed some of them in the summary notes that accompany this episode. You'll also find some of our essential guides, including those on creating a prototype and branding for small businesses. I hope you're enjoying the Start Your Own Business podcast. If you are, please spread the word so we can help even more business owners start and run their business. Finally, another big thank you to Dawn for her time and for being such a great guest today. Until next time, all the best.